Morning. Yeah, so as JD said, I'm Jay Lynch. This is my wife Jessica. This is Nora, our 11-year-old daughter, and James, our 4-year-old son. And he's been playing Bowser and Mario, so hopefully he can make it through this. But anyway, JD, like JD said, he asked us to come and share what grace has meant to us since we joined. And when Jessica and I started kind of talking about it, we were like, well, we really to put it in true perspective, we need to put a little bit more context about it. And so, to kind of go back in the history of our relationship, we met here at Ole Miss and started dating, and then ended up getting married. But during that time in college, we just weren't. Faith, we considered ourselves Christians, but faith was just far down the totem pole of importance. And so when we got married and then we moved to Jackson, that kind of continued, right? It just wasn't that important to us, and we knew deep down that it was, that wasn't right. But as God tends to do. He humbled us and put us back on track. And when I say he humbled us, and kind of put us back on track. And we kind of hit a crossroads there for a time, and we could go to the things of the world, or we could go to God. And I can stand here now and say that we went to God, and we put the things of the world behind us. And we still battle that, obviously, but I can say that right now that was a God thing. It wasn't us. It wasn't our choice. It was God leading us. When we were in the Jackson area, we joined a church in Brandon, and really had a church family for the first time, really, as a family, and. Joined a Sunday school and really had a church family there that was really, really strong. And then when we decided that God was calling us to move to Oxford, we did that, and first thing we set out to do was to find a church home. And it was not the easiest thing in the world. We tried church after church after church, and it was about a 2-year process. And JD probably does not want me to tell this, but we were visiting a church, not this church, and I won't name names, but we were meeting in this building, and and they did a church pastor swap on a Sunday, and JD happened to be the pastor that Sunday, and. We had been going to that church for, I don't know, 6 months or so, and yeah, at least. And we heard JD's preaching, and we were like, where is he, the preacher? And we talked to JD when we were leaving that day and found out about Grace, and it was meeting right down the road at the middle school. And we started going to Grace that next Sunday, and soon thereafter joined. But that kind of leads us into what grace has meant to us. We felt like we had an intimate relationship with God when we were in the Brandon area, and we were members of a church down there. But looking back now, I'm like, we had no idea. And I know, like, 10 years from now, we'll look back at now and be like, we had no idea. But just the way that we've grown in our walk with God since we've joined Grace, I just think specifically about evangelism and being able to share the gospel. And that's something that I never would have thought about standing up here right now and talking about this 10 years ago. I would have been crazy. But anyway, we're now, we love our church. We're small group leaders. we try to be as involved as we possibly can. The church is now, no church is perfect, but I feel like we're in a great location, and we have a very good building to worship in now. And I think the attendance, you look around and I'm like, well, that shows. But anyway, it's meant a lot to us. Keep coming. Yeah, anyway, so I'll let Jessica say a few words.
Just to reiterate part of what Jay said, and the piece of connectivity for us was especially the small group. So when we moved, he mentioned when we moved back to Oxford and finding kind of that connection and that peace, and us being able to be not only part of a small group, but then once we were able to kind of lead our small group and have that connection for the ups and downs and the relationships and that peace. And so just as our church continues to grow, that we have those bodies that are intimate with each other and able to connect, and that there's different areas from the women's ministry to the college ministry and the men's, and so there's those niches that you're able to find. In our children's ministry, as we continue to grow, I mean, at one time there were 18 ladies pregnant all at the same time. That's why there's a lot of 4-year-olds running around. But in that sense, that as we continue to grow, just knowing that we have this building, but that we will continue also to grow in that sense, but that we support the building mission and what it means, so that hopefully you find home like we found home, and that be your solace and your passion to also be a part of something that is God's work and God's hand in your relationship, not only with him, but in 10 years that you're able to look back and know that you were able to be a part of that.
Thank you.